Cops in LA are a problem, okay? They're a problem. And this story is pretty much going to illuminate just one of the main issues of policing in America, and particularly in LA, which obviously has a very rich history of police brutality. You know, really blew up, in the 90s with the Rodney King case. But I mean, it's been horrible before that. It's still very bad now. You saw, during the George Floyd protests, that viral video of that cop running over a person, or I mean, one of the very many viral videos of cops doing that was in LA. And so, obviously last year in January, Kobe Bryant, most people know who Kobe Bryant is. If you don't, he was one of the best, most influential basketball players ever. He had just recently retired, and he was flying in his helicopter with his daughter and some other of their teammates and their parents, of her teammates and their parents, and tragically they got in a helicopter accident and died. A little known probably story that kind of came out of that was that there was these cops who, I think they were sheriff deputies who were working around the area at the time, and they took some pictures or something, and it wasn't talked about too much. It had to obviously go through the courts at the time, but Vanessa Bryant, the wife of Kobe Bryant, she went to the courts, and she basically got them charged because let's just jump into it. Samantha _5 on Twitter said, Vanessa Bryant unloading the clip on IG. She posted the names of the officers who took photos of the helicopter crash. Here are the names of the officers. You see here on her Instagram: County of Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Los Angeles County Fire Department, Joey Cruz, Rafael Mejia, Michael Russell, and Raul Versales are the defendants. So they're the people that took the pictures. And this, I mean, just listen to this story. It's just unbelievable. This is from the court case. Minutes after Cruz, one of the officers, left the Baja California Bar and Grill on the evening of January 28, 2020, the bartender approached the table of 4 patrons and excitedly stated that a sheriff's deputy had just shown him graphic photos of Kobe Bryant's remains. The bartender described specific characteristics of Mr. Bryant's remains, explained how the remains could be linked to Mr. Bryant, and indicated he found the situation humorous. The bartender was poised to divulge additional details, but the patrons expressed that they did not want to hear anything further. In a later interview with the department investigators, one of the patrons explained that he found the situation very, very disturbing, such that it bothered him that entire night, even on his drive home. The patron believed it was very inappropriate for that deputy to be there at that environment, showing those pictures to other individuals, and the situation did not sit well with him at all. Upon arriving home, the patron emailed a complaint to the sheriff's department while sitting in his car in his driveway. There was a deputy at Baja California Bar and Grill in Norwalk who was at the Kobe Bryant crash site showing pictures of Kobe Bryant's body. He was working the day, a helicopter went down and took pictures of the crash site and bodies. He's a young deputy, shaved head. Can you believe that? Like, the inhumanity that you have to have running through your veins to see something gruesome like that. One, find it humorous, and then go show other people. So, they have to be subjected to seeing a dead body, probably mangled from a helicopter crash. Obviously, that's a very violent type of way to die. And they go around and show people that like that. This just goes to show these are the people that are charged with protecting you and I, right? These are the people that we give money to go out there and protect us. Does this look like someone who really cares about human life, who really is going to put their body on the line to protect other human life? Does that really sound like someone who would do that? And I want to remind you, and I know that's the sheriff's department, but a lot of this happens within just the LAPD as well. This is from the LA Times. Council members ultimately cut the department's budget by $150 million, slashing overtime pay and taking police staffing to its lowest level since 2008. Yet, even with those reductions, LAPD spending will remain at roughly $3 billion, about the same as last year. The department is still on track to consume 51% of the city's unrestricted revenue, taxes, and other city funds the mayor and council can spend any way they want, according to budget analysis. So the city council in LA, and this isn't just LA, this is New York City, this is a lot of major cities. What they're going to do is they're going to spend half the money they're able to spend on policing, right? half the money is going to police. The same police that are doing stunts like this, taking pictures of dead bodies and showing it to patrons at a bar, right? The same LAPD who on Valentine's Day were circulating a like postcard or whatever, or like Valentine's Day card that said, "You take my breath away," with George Floyd's picture on it. This is where half of the resources are going from the city of LA and state taxes and all that stuff. Half. So it's not going to actually funding schools. It's not going to actually housing the homeless in LA, which has like 50,000 homeless people, I believe. It's not going towards that. It's going towards policing, criminalizing, punishing, paying these people's long-term pensions. In fact, there was a recent video I'm gonna show y'all of a retired LAPD officer, not retired for long, from May of 2020, of him getting in a car accident with a young black man and then going on a racist tirade as a result of that. Check this out.
Controller gets here. Y'all hear this shit, right? Y'all hear this shit, right? Y'all hear this shit, right? Are you gonna take your ID out, or yes or no? Y'all hear this shit? Are you gonna get your identification out, yes or no? No. He started the thing because he is the dumb man. Yeah, I said it second, right after you. Yeah, okay. You heard it again, right? The big N-word came out of him.
Well, thankfully, the LAPD is reviewing all that officer's cases, because obviously he has hate and racism spewing and running through his veins. So how can you ever trust a homicide investigation he's ever done? You can't trust a single one. Why? Because you can tell that off rip, the way if you have black skin, you have brown skin, he has hate running in his veins, and that's obviously going to affect his judgment on that case, right? And so we need a total revamp of policing here in America. And yeah, say defund the police. You know why? Because when they say defund Planned Parenthood, what do? They don't completely get rid of it. They just slash all the resources for Planned Parenthood. So if we want the resources or the money slashed from the police budget, we have to say defund the police. We have to, or else they won't even cut the budget. Because if we ask them to cut the budget by half, they'll probably cut the budget by like 5%. And then 2 years later, they'll increase it back to what it was. Like cutting the budget $150 million, even though it's $3 billion, which isn't even, they didn't even cut it 33%. Not even close. So you have to say defund the police. You have to say stuff like that. Because when you out there protesting for months in the summer, what do you get? You get Joe Biden saying he's going to fund the police more. And that's why you have to always push. And that's why people, the sheriff's department, the LAPD, they deserve to have their budget slashed. Why? Because those resources are desperately needed for schooling, for housing the homeless, for infrastructure, for literally everything. If you've ever been to LA, there's so much that can be done to make LA a much better place. But what happens to all that money? It goes straight into the police budget. And then they do stuff like this. Just unbelievable. Like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I don't know what's going to need to be done to change it, because we protested all summer and they didn't seem to hear that. They seem to acknowledge it. They'll name a street Black Lives Matter Plaza, and then they'll go back to doing the exact same things that they did before.